Hello. So today I did want to share my setup with the projector that I am using for sewing. I mounted it on the wall, just on a little shelf floating more or less above my cutting table, which is my cutting table is just two of those IKEA, I think they used to be Kellex or Expedit units together, and then I put a very big cutting mat on there, which I got from JK Trading, and that is a projector, so I just put my laptop on there for now. And the projector I did get second hand of Facebook Marketplace, which is it is called an ultra short throw projector. That means that, sorry, my mobile is just moving around. That means that it can project the image on a very short distance. There's other projectors for sewing that you can use as well that are ceiling mounted. You do have to figure out how high your ceilings are and what the ratio is in the setup, etc., etc. So this projector, usually it is ceiling mounted and it is projecting onto a wall, like you would find it in a classroom, for example. And yeah, as I said, I have this Epson, it's an EB455WI, and it's sitting just above my cutting table. And today I picked a pattern which is the laundry day tee, which you can see here on my screen. I have not made this pattern before, so I would just pull up the tutorial, have a look through. I actually read the tutorial before I make it for the first time. Anyway, so I had a look through here to just find out what my size is. And I am an M, so I can close that off and I will open the projector file that I have set up separately on here. So I've just downloaded those files from, who is it by again? Love Notions, that's the company. And it actually is, I'm pretty sure it is a free pattern on their website to download if you join the group or something like that. So I'm opening the projector file here on my computer. I hope you can see all of that. Anyway, so it has like many layers in here now in the file itself. So I will go here on layers and I remove the tile, well, not the tiles because that's a description. I remove the sizes that I do not need. There we go. Not that one. When you remove the grid, it becomes much more clear what you actually need. The grid is good to have for the first initial double checking of you if you've got the calibration right. Once you've got your projector set up, it should usually be okay. But I always double check quickly with the grid on the pattern if my calibration is correct, because if it's not correct, you would be cutting a totally wrong size. So yeah, that's that. And then I am plugging in the cable and I'm turning on the projector. And I do get the pattern on my full screen. There is a Control L shortcut that does that. Otherwise, I mean, well, if you want to get into it, there is a lot of valuable resource on in a Facebook group, which is like Projectors for Sewing. I think it's an US based group, but there's also an Australian version. Anyway, so you will have to do a little bit of reading just to get into it all, but that's all right. And then I zoom, so I change my zoom. I know that it is 22.1, so I've got it written down there so I don't forget, 22.1, and that now will project the correct size, which you will see, hold on the table down there, which is not very visible right now because I have the computer there and no fabric down. Anyway, I will just have a pause and continue on. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, now I've got my fabric down here and I put the grid layer on. Just for me, that's inches, sorry. I'm more used to centimeters, so I have to get another thing. So I put the grid on and I double check. That's 1 inch, that's 1 inch, or even like over the full length. It's a bit hard for you to see now, but there's a grid on the fabric and I just double check that my calibration is right. So now I'm going back to the computer and I'm removing that grid because that makes it much harder to see. Double checking that my zoom is still correct. Yes, it is. Now I just have to make sure that I'm actually got the right pattern piece on here. So that is a dress front and you can see the outline here nicely. So this is a v-neck. I'm going to make the tank top version, so I'm gonna cut this line here and go around. I'm going to just do a standard normal dress and yeah, you get to experience the border print now already too, because that's what I'm going to do. So this is only in this, all the pattern makers are different, but this one she shows half of the pattern, so you still have to cut it on the fold, which I'm going to do. I'm folding my fabric now to be able to cut around it. Also, well, I've got the luxury of having my table on roll, so I can push it around, so that I don't have to lean over all too far all the time, because eventually you get back pain, right? Yeah, other pattern makers, they unfold it in the projector file already, so you've got the full piece that you can just cut around. Or there's also computer programs. Obviously there's a computer program for everything. There's computer programs out there that you can put it together yourself. So in the sewing group on Facebook, they talk about Inkscape, for example, and I have tested and fiddled around with that a little bit already myself, which is very, very helpful. Yeah, if you have to do certain changes, but you don't have to. So it's like, don't get intimidated by that, because you really don't have to. So I'm just trying to see where I approximately have to fold my fabric, which is here. Then I put it back up. On the white side is much easier to see as well. So I'm just making sure that my fabric is lying all nice and flat. Sorry for my head in your way. And because I would like the border on the bottom, I pull the fabric up here. Usually I just grab a couple, so now I'm going to use my scissors there here. Usually I just grab a couple of cans from my pantry for pattern weight, or yeah, pattern weight, still a pattern weight. I actually have a folded. Yeah, so the fabric doesn't slide down the table anywhere, but I don't have any close by right now. So this is a knit fabric. It is a pattern that folds for knit fabric with 4-way stretch, which this fabric has. The lighter the fabric is, the less weight, the nicer it drapes after all. But when it is in laundry, it's called laundry day tee or dress. So now I'm just trying to put a bit of gentle pressure down there to actually get the fold right on the line of the projector. Another trick, sorry, before I do that. Another trick is also line up the grit of your cutting mat, because now I've got the fold lined up right with that white grit on my mat, and that is much easier to match. So this is all down. Don't have anything else. I just put my, sorry, always improving. That's what it is it? Isn't it? You don't always want to just run around and get everything. So I'm using a rotary cutter because it all stays in place nicely. I hope you can see. I think it should be alright. Yeah, so I will just, as I said, always read the instructions before, because obviously you do need to know whether there is seam allowance included in the pattern or not. In this one there is, so I can just get straight into cutting where I want to go. So this is going to be a V-neck, and I'm doing the tank version, so I'm not adding sleeves. It is called Laundry Day Tee, and yeah, I'm going to make it just kind of a casual laundry day dress. I like dresses. It's like in this weather, it's just so nice and comfortable. Throw on, done. So, radio. I do double check if there's any clippings and markings which I have to transfer, which well, obviously it's personal choice. I usually just clip the seam allowance, or you can put a pin in, or you use your fabric marker. But if you stay within the seam allowance, you're good. So this is my first pattern piece. This is the front of the dress, and yeah, I think it gives you a good idea. I probably don't have to show you how I cut the back and the bands, but all in the same way. So with the bands, it is going to be on the file as well. I just go down here. So in this case, they're all the way over there on the table. Can't really push it around. Anyway, so a very handy tool is a ruler like this. I had a 60 centimeter one, which unfortunately broke, because that's just amazing if you have to obviously cut anything like the bands in a certain shape, and no wonky, nothing. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, table, projector on the wall. I've got my computer just sitting next to it. I mean, it doesn't have to sit right next to it, just like it's connected by a cable. And I'm going to put together like a little bit of a document, just some information on where you can get useful information about the usage of projectors for sewing. So for me, it's perfect because it cut down my time preparing for a sewing project drastically. So it's like now I just come in here, and I'm fortunate enough to have my own room. I just come in here, put the projector on, put the pattern projected on the table, cut around it, and I get sewing right away. I don't have many paper patterns personally. I started sewing, I think 8 years ago, and I pretty much started with the PDF patterns. So yeah, it's like with a PDF pattern, you buy it, you download it, and then you print it. When you print it at home, you print it on A4 pages, and that means for a garment for a woman, it's like a dress, whatever, it's like easy that you stick together 40 pages. And then obviously you have to trace around it, get it onto your pattern paper, or the trace and toil, I think it's called, the material, or whatever you use, personal preference. And yeah, cut that out, and then you put it on, and it just takes so much longer. So I really am a big fan, and that's me. I hope it's a little bit helpful, and you guys have a wonderful day.